found yourself scrolling on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram of messages or posts and even photos and videos of your loved ones and their legacies left behind in a virtual landscape? Today we're exploring how technology has really transformed and changed the landscape in which we grieve, using social media and also virtual communities. So how has social media changed grief? Social media has changed grief in ways where now we have a global audience to share our grief. Where a space where you felt really alone before, now you actually have a space where you can find people going through similar experiences, as well as processing the very beginning stages of loss. Social media has really created a space for public mourning, as well as where we can share memories, photos, and tributes, and create really in-depth memorials. It's a way to feel connected during one of life's most isolating times in our lives. How has social media changed grief? These posts can create a sense of community, as well as feeling a lot closer to your loved ones if you have family that lives far away. One of the really difficult aspects of grieving in a digital landscape, and also just technology in general, how much is too much to share? Am I grieving the proper ways? And I want you to know there is no wrong way to grieve. Grief comes in all shapes, forms, lengths, durations. So it might take you years, months, weeks, but don't discredit how you're feeling today. Memorials have really shifted online, where platforms like Facebook now offer memorialized accounts where if your loved one passes away, they can keep their profile up till the end of time. So it really creates a memorialized space where you're able to still access those memories that might not be around. One of the biggest things, and probably one of the saddest moments, was from the TikTok ban that happened on January 18th, 2025. I was noticing a lot of people going through grief and just really deep, almost a deep somber tone, with people still grieving the accounts of creators and also their loved ones and family members who have TikTok accounts that might have been banned and no longer had access to photos or couldn't download all the data in time. It really broke my heart to see how this is affecting people in this technological and social media aspect, where we didn't really take that into account, that people will physically lose that part of themselves or their part of their loved ones who have these memorialized accounts. I think that that's something that really needs to be taken into consideration when changes like this arise. Social media has come to this point where it really is a part and a factor of our daily life. Social media is our third space in which we can create community and make friends, but it also can make it harder to move forward when when their presence remains in our physical lives. One of the bigger positives, though, in the digital age with social media is that we have virtual grief communities. Whether it's a Facebook group, a Discord server, a YouTube channel like this one, these spaces really support people going through grief 24/7. I've found a lot of healing in my grief group that I do run, and it's very healing, and it's crazy because I've built this community from the ground up. And so to be going through my own healing and grief journey, even in a virtual sense, it really helps me feel like I'm not alone. I've been able to really connect with people who've lost family members, and it's just a very beautiful aspect to social media and where it's heading. You can really connect with people who are going through the same pain, the same losses, no matter where you are in the world. So with like grieving in a digital age, it's really taking it to a global audience. But be mindful, because sometimes in an online space, it can feel very overwhelming, or even trigger deeper emotions, where you weren't really ready to process them yet, as well as sometimes it can be so overwhelming you keep seeing grief and pain and trauma. I think that's one of the harder parts, is people want to help, and sometimes with those trigger words, I call them the band-aid words. The band-aid words is thoughts and prayers, you'll be okay, their loss was meant to happen, everything happens in life, just those types of words or phrases are not as positive in the route in which they are said. People tend to lean towards saying these band-aid words because they themselves are just trying to offer comfort and space. Grief is a very, very awkward feeling to have. It's a part of pain. Grief is pain, and it's something that we all experience. When we're going through grief, we don't want to feel uncomfortable. And so when someone says thoughts and prayers, they are just trying to help their own comfortability by making you comfortable. And then in coin, it makes them comfortable when they use these phrases. It's not that they are being rude or hurtful. Sometimes they are, and that's another topic for another day. But you really have to understand that grief and pain go hand in hand. Mourning online and grief online can be really complicated. Some people may judge you for sharing your grief too openly, while others might expect you to share when you're not ready to share your grief. You see this a lot with celebrities. You see this a lot with public figures, influencers, content creators who have gone through loss. People expect answers, and then that can spiral into conspiracy theories and negative content. Mourning publicly can be really complicated. Some people may judge you for your experiences, and also may judge you when you openly share your grief, as well as some might expect you to share your grief when you're not ready. And it's okay to take your time. Grief is one of the biggest challenges that we're going to face in our life. When you're experiencing loss, it is one of the biggest human experiences that we go through. When you involve loss, it incorporates anxiety, pain, the 5 stages of grief, really high emotions, the pit of despair and depression can be triggered. So it really can be challenging when people expect you to share your grief online too soon. So you really have to protect your peace, as well as take your time and decide how much you want to share. Because at the end of the day, when you're going through loss, it's you that's dealing with the pain. And when you have a virtual audience or a global audience or stage, people don't take those personal, intimate details into play. You look at it with the fires in LA. The fires in Los Angeles that are going on right now are just absolutely devastating to people who are losing their homes. And when you see the negative comments about, well, the celebrities deserve it, or, they have millions of dollars, they can just rebuild. These are people's lives that they've worked their whole life for, in becoming and getting to where they have their homes. And so to have these moments of that negative aspect in grief, it's not very good to see. Grief is deeply personal, and there's no right or wrong way to handle it. Take your time in grieving. It's your journey from start to finish, whether, if you ever do, be intentional about what you share and what you see and what feels right for you, not what you want others to expect from you. Take breaks from social media if it does become too much. It's okay to step back and to protect your emotional health, physical health, mental health. The online virtual space can be the Wild West when you're going through grief, and try not to engage with the naysayers or negative topics, as this can be really triggering and also reopen those wounds that are starting to slowly heal, and where you can start to move forward in your life with grief. Use technology to honor your loved one in meaningful ways, like creating a photo slideshow or a playlist. You can even create a digital journal of your memories of your loved one. That way, it's more of a private space where you feel that, it's not on that global audience. So, as we start to see innovations with technology, with chat AI robots, as well as virtual reality and virtual communities, we have to ask ourselves the bigger question: does it help us or does it hurt us? And when you look at that aspect with grief and technology, you have to remember at its core, grief is a deeply human experience, and that it is very connecting. So remember to also find those virtual spaces where you can still have human connection and process your grief. And so this also brings up the question: how do you feel about technology and technological advances in grief and chat AI, and how this helps us with our grief and mourning? Do you feel that it helps us or hurts us in the healing process? And if you're grieving, remember that you have a community that supports you, loves you, and that you are not alone. When you are ready to find support, know that it takes time. Know that it is not a 1, 2, 3 and step process with grieving, and that when you are ready is when you will find support with your grief, and when you can start working towards moving forward with loss. Thank you for joining me in exploring grief and mourning in the digital age. It's such an important topic, and I'm grateful we could have this conversation together. If this video resonated with you or gave you something to think about, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to stay connected. Your support allows me to continue creating content that helps us all heal and grow together. If you're looking for more resources, be sure to check out the links in the description below. I've included info on my grief support classes, upcoming events, and ways to stay connected with my amazing community, Healing for All. Until next time, remember to give yourself grace, take it one day at a time, and know that healing isn't linear. It's a personal, messy, and beautiful experience in its own way. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone.